So if I would like to welcome back to the live webinars, Mr. Akis Panayi. Akis, are you there with us? There you are. Welcome.
All right, here, Terry. Hello, hello. Thank you for hosting this this webinar. Thank you very much for the introduction.
Well, thank you for joining us. So I will give the floor over to you. And just to remind everybody watching that we are going to have a question and answer section at the end of Akis' presentation. So save your questions for the end. And I am now going to give the floor over to you, Akis. So anything you need, just give me a shout. I'm right here.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Terry. And hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining. It's good to be back. I hope you will find this session useful and helpful, and you will go away with some useful tips for your online lessons. All right, let's get started then. The title of our session today is Effective or Engaging Online Lessons, Plan, Do, Review. Now, what we're going to do today and what we will focus on is we will focus in detail in those three questions. What makes an online lesson engaging? How can students be effectively assessed online? And how can I critically assess my online teaching practice and improve it? We are also going to see some useful online resources and some websites. Some of them you may already know and you may already use. I think you'll find something helpful for your online lessons. Now, let's start with a question for you to answer. And let's see what everybody thinks about online lessons. The question is, how do you feel about online teaching? I would like to ask you to type your answer in the chat box. A, it is necessary, but I do not enjoy it. B, I like it, but my students do not. C, it has little or no place in education. I see that some people kind of already started typing their answers. We've got a lot of A's, okay. D, it makes for a more student-centered classroom. Or E, it's the answer to all our problems. Okay, we've got a lot of A's. There was a question about whether I could send this presentation. Now, this webinar is recorded, and you can revisit this webinar, and you can see it again, and you can revisit and find any information that you miss. Okay, so we've got a lot of A's, we've got a couple of D's. It makes for a more student-centered classroom. That is quite interesting. Okay. We have a B, I like it, but my students do not. All right. And we've got some E's. It's the answer to all our problems. All right. One of our colleagues said, my answer is not in the alternatives available. Well, you can provide us with your answer, with your opinion, and let us know what you think. Okay, so most of you have answered that it's something which is necessary, but we do not enjoy it. It's something new. It's something that we all have to go through given the special situation. Okay, we have another answer, E, because it offers different perspectives, and that is what we need. Okay, I like it, and so do my students, says Annie. Thank you very much. Good to know. It's been a process of adapting many things, and now we enjoy it. Yes, we maybe when this whole thing started a few months ago, maybe it was something that we didn't enjoy from the beginning, but now it's something we gradually get used to and adapting to it. Thank you very much for your answers. This is another question that I would like us to think about before we go into much detail in our presentation. Assess your level of online as an online teacher, and what kind of online teacher are you? One, basic, which means I have a basic ability to deliver online lessons as long as things work as expected. Sometimes that's what I am. I'm a basic user of online teaching. Two, independent. I regularly do tech run-throughs, and I like using new digital tools and resources. Sometimes I'm not. I'm two. I'm independent, or I would like to think myself as an independent user. Or are you a master? Okay, we've got ones, we've got twos. Thank you very much for your answers. But do we have anyone who's a three? A master, which means I consistently deliver slick and well executed online lessons in a comfortable and effective way. Daniela says one, but getting to two soon. Yes, I think I'm right there with you. Depends, one or two. Yep. Okay, we have a three. Wow. Brilliant. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for answering. Let's move on to the next slide. Okay, now, Professor J. Michael Spector from the Department of Learning Technologies in the University of North Texas has said this: the future of distance learning technology is not about the technology, and it's not about the distance. Well, if it's not about the technology, and if it's not about the distance, then what is it about? It's about learning. It's about learning. And same with the physical classroom. The future is not the technology, is not the distance, it's not about which online teaching platform are you using, it's about learning. And for learning to take place, we need three things. So what makes an online lesson effective? Planning, successful delivery of the lesson, and reviewing the lesson. So first we plan. Look at the three steps that we have here. We have a comment from a colleague, learning how to learn at a different level. Yes, thank you very much. So first we plan the lesson, then we do the lesson, and then we review it before we start the process again. If we skip one of those three steps, then the following step will not be as successful as it should be. For example, if we skip planning, then the delivery of the lesson will not be as successful. And if we skip reviewing, then the next time we plan, our plan will not be as effective as it should be, or as it could be if we reviewed the lesson. And we are going to look at these 3 steps in detail right now. So what does it mean to plan the lesson? Well, the first point, learn how to effectively use the online teaching platform that you're using. That's the first thing to do. Whether you're using Microsoft Teams or Zoom or any other online platform which you use for your online teaching and learning, learn how to use it effectively. Take the time to look at the opportunities that it provides, what you can do with it. Play around with the buttons. Next, add visual appeal using a variety of multimedia resources. That's something that we have the chance to do, given the fact that we are doing the lessons online and we have the internet right there. And the third point, explain the aim of the lesson, like you do in the physical classroom, like you do in a regular lesson. Explain to the students what is the aim of today's lesson. For example, today we're going to look at reading skills. And share the lesson objectives. Let's take the example of doing reading skills. For example, you can tell students that by the end of the lesson today, you must use skimming and scanning to answer comprehension questions, should explain the difference between skimming and scanning, and could propose an alternative to the author's point of view. Now, you see the level of challenge increases as we go from must to should, and then from should to could. Must is something that all students in the online classroom must do and must be able to do. Use the reading skills of skimming and scanning to answer the questions. Should is something that the stronger students of the classroom will be able to do and are expected to do. And could is something that the most stable students of the classroom could be in a position to do. And this is according to the Bloom's taxonomy of learning objectives. Now, after we plan our lesson, we deliver, we do the lesson, which means what? The first point, practice the same principles and the same strategies used in the regular classroom. Do not change your principles. It's still a lesson with the same students. Do not change your strategies. Yeah? It's already a new environment for the students. We don't want them to see that something is changing, or we don't want them to feel that much is changing. Use scaffold learning activities, which means that you build on what they already know to teach them something new. Let students know how important their contribution to the online lesson is. Sometimes, well, most of the times, we, the teachers, we don't know who is really listening. Now, to give them a purpose, we should praise them and let them know that it's important for them to participate, and it's important for us, and it's important for the lesson that they contribute to the lesson. Next one, try to answer all questions posed by students, even if it means you have to adapt your lesson plan. Now, this is quite important. I hear some teachers saying, I avoid answering questions during the online lessons because it's time consuming, and I tell students they can email me their questions afterwards. Well, it's highly impossible that any student would bother and send you a question after the lesson has finished, because by the time you have finished the lesson, it's highly possible that that student forgot about their question. So try to answer all the questions on the spot. Let students do the work, or at least let the students do some of the work. And the last point, be yourself. Be yourself. It's still the same classroom, the same students. We just moved from the physical classroom to the online classroom. But other than that, nothing has changed. And if we, the teachers, see it this way, that nothing has really changed, then the students will start seeing it the same way, and they will start behaving the same way. Now, after we do the lesson, we should review the lesson and see what went well and areas for improvement. Now, reviewing the lesson means that we should always upload resources for students to refer back to. Very important to do that. Very important not to forget to do that. Upload everything that we have done in the lesson, everything that we have covered, all the pages, PowerPoint presentations that we've used, links, everything. Let students know they were missed when they return from being absent. Again, this has to do with praising the students and making them feel important, that they matter to the online lesson. It matters whether they're there or not. We should also try and put ourselves in students' shoes. Like if I was a teenager, is this lesson something that would make me engaged? Is this something that that I would pay attention to? Next one, commit to continuous improvement. Like all of you, that you have taken time off your free time to join this webinar, and you have proven that you are committed to continuous improvement. Assist underperforming students, like in the physical classroom. I'm sure you do that already. And the last 2 points which are highlighted in our on our screen is use effective assessment to check if your lesson was effective and to review it, and ask students for feedback. Now, those 2 bullet points are highlighted because we are going to focus on those 2 for the next part of this presentation. And we will start with the assessment. How can students be effectively assessed online? Well, there are a couple of there are a lot of ideas, and we will try to cover as many as possible. How can students be effectively assessed online? First of all, there is active participation, discussions, answering questions, extended responses, sharing opinions, and so on and so forth. You can tell the students to give them a purpose for the online lessons, you can tell them that their active participation will be assessed, and give them an extra reason to be there and follow the lesson and be active in the lesson, because they will be assessed. One of the assessments, like one of the, let's say 20% of their final grade, will go to their active participation in the online lessons. That will give them an extra reason to be there with you. Written tasks, essays, projects, PowerPoint presentations with guidelines and marking criteria. Be very specific with what you want them to do. Timed writing tasks during the online lesson. You can give them a timed task and say, okay, you've got 45 minutes to complete this task, and then after the end of the 45 minutes, you have another 5 minutes to send it to me via email. Assessed lesson activities using Kahoot quizzes or any other digital tools that that help you with quizzes or multiple choice questions. Pictures of homework sent prior to the lesson. You can ask your students, in order to check that they have completed their homework, to send you a picture through email of their completed homework before the lesson begins. You can have them do presentations, reflective journals or diaries, and if you want, if you have to give them a written test, I suggest you look for locked past papers. There are examination boards that have some of their past papers locked, which means that the students cannot find the answers online. They cannot go on Google and search for the answers because the past papers are locked and only the teacher has access to it. Now, look for those past papers and look for those examination boards that have locked past papers available for the teachers. Another useful tool is this website. Some of you might already use it and might already know it. writeandimprove.com. Now, this is one of my favorite websites, and bear with me. I will show you how it works. It's designed and it's designed by Cambridge, and what you can do is this. Go to www.writeandimprove.com and it will take you to this page over here, and then you can log on, and this is the main page. I see a comment in the chat box. It's excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your comment. You can create a workbook for your classroom. And what you can do is this. You choose your class level on your left-hand side. You can see the different levels: beginner, intermediate, advanced. If you do IELTS, there is the IELTS Academic, IELTS General Training. If you do Cambridge exams, you can pick this specific Cambridge exam that your students are taking, and it will give you a task like this one right here, an opinion essay, healthy living. And here you've got this task and the instructions, and the students, they have to log on and then start typing their answer in this box, in this box right there. And when they're done, they click the check button and they get immediate feedback. They get immediate feedback on their writing. And it says right here, 188 words entered. For this task, you should enter between 150 and 200 words. You have written enough. Well done. And on your right-hand side, look, you can see the immediate feedback that they receive. And you as the teacher, you can, of course, have access to it and see how well they did and check their progress. It says here, for example, congratulations, your level for this writing is B2. You can use Write and Improve to build on this success. Read the feedback and edit your writing. And underneath that, there are comments on specific sentences and phrases in their writing that the student can improve. We have another comment. This is very useful. But how can we have all those essays in one place? Well, on the left-hand side of your screen, at the bottom, you can at the bottom of the slide on the presentation, you see join a workbook or create a workbook on top of that. Now, go to this website, and I'm sure you will find your way. You have to sign in first. You have to sign up and then sign in. Okay. Right. Let's move on to the second question that we're going to focus on for today's webinar. How can I critically assess my online teaching? There's a number of ways. First of all, there is a link on Padlet that I would like you to visit. If Terry is, yes, Terry, thank you very much for now sending the link. The link is in the chat box. All you have to do is click on it and it will take you to this website, padlet.com. And there you can see a handout that I uploaded for you, which is titled Self-Reflection, Online Teaching. Now, I encourage you to download that handout and use it after every lesson that you finish, or at the end of every week, and assess yourself and tick the things that you feel that they are a strength, and the areas that you need to improve for your next online lesson. Now, I strongly encourage you to do that for self-assessment and self-reflection. The other thing you can do is ask your students for feedback. Not every time, not after every lesson, but maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks. That's what my school did when we, after the first lockdown, when we had to take all the classes online for 4 months. After the end of those 4 months of online lessons, we conducted a survey asking students for their opinion about the online lessons, what they liked and what they disliked, and suggestions that they have for improvement. And look at the answers that they have given on your screen, and I'm sure you can relate to some of these answers. What students like about online lessons? I will start with the pink box and go clockwise. I enjoyed the online lessons because we were using technology to learn and we had the handouts electronically. That's what one student said. Another one said, I liked being able to wear my own clothes and be comfortable. Well, who doesn't like that? Lessons were smoother. Time went by quickly. Teachers at our school did a great job. They deserve a big thank you. Teachers sent lesson materials in advance, which made lessons smoother, efficient, and easy to follow. Another student said online lessons were delivered adequately and material was covered. I enjoyed the interaction with all of the class was in front of me. It was fun. Another student said it was easier to store files electronically instead of having printed papers. And last comment we have here, the class was less noisy and more polite when the lessons were online. It was easier to concentrate. Okay, so this is the positive side. These are the positive things, the things that students liked about the online lessons. What they told us about the things that they didn't like and suggestions for improvement are these. No one knows if a student is listening. True. Better internet connection is needed, another student said. Slideshows and screen sharing were not good and it was hard for us to see what was written. Now, that is something that we should all take into consideration. All these comments, we should take them into consideration. The teacher didn't give us feedback about our work, one of our students said. The teacher didn't check every homework. Give homework from the book, not worksheets. That is a good comment by one of our students. Give homework from the book, not the worksheets. Because we have the internet available and therefore we are open to many more resources, doesn't really mean that we have to give them extra homework other than the one that we would normally give them in the regular lesson, which is homework from the book. So why don't we do that? Another student said, in some lessons, there were discipline issues like students writing or drawing funny things. I'm sure most of you can relate to this one. If the cameras were open, we could concentrate more, another student said, and that is also true. If the cameras are open, then the students concentrate more and they do pay more attention. However, be careful with having the cameras on because different countries and different schools have different regulations regarding cameras. Some pupils were muting others and more material was covered online and it was done fast. I couldn't keep up. Now, that is something that, again, we should take into serious consideration. The pace of our lesson. We shouldn't cover material too fast. The learning pace should be the learning and teaching pace of the physical classroom, like nothing has changed. Also, ask students every now and then if they understood anything, or if they have understood all the things that you've said, or if they understood the instructions. Let them know that they can send you a text privately, not in the public chat box, if they have a question, and maybe they feel uncomfortable asking that question in front of the others. Okay, and let's finish off before the questions section. Let's finish up with a very quick overview of top tips for teaching online. Set clear expectations. Let students know from the beginning what the lesson will be about and what you expect from them to do by the end of the lesson. Make students participants. Make them active. Avoid lecturing a lot, and let students do some of the work. Narrate your actions, which means constantly telling students what you're doing. Like right now, I'm trying to upload something for you. You will find it on files. And right now I'm trying to share my screen with you. Keep them occupied. Tell them what you're doing all the time. Upload resources after the end of the lesson. And the last 2 points, you can change your background sometimes. Most online teaching platforms give you the chance to change your background. This adds to the variety of your lesson. And lastly, be yourself. It's the second time we mentioned this this point right there. Be yourself, and I think it's quite important, because it shows students that nothing has changed. Nothing has really changed. And as we said before, if we act this way, like nothing has changed, then the students will act the same. Thank you for the online assessment sheet. Thank you very much for attending. Tips are useful as well. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your nice comments. I'm glad to see that you enjoyed this. Now, before we finish off, I would like to show you these additional educational online tools. Some of them we've already covered, like the first one, Padlet, and the second one, Write and Improve. There's also Kahoot, which I'm sure most of you are already using. Socrative, Explain Everything, Quizlet, and today's Meet. Make a note of these websites, because some of them might come handy. Thank you for your comments. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your contribution and the fact that you attended this webinar. Now, you will have the chance to ask any questions, or if you think of a question later, I will be more than happy to answer it. You can email me on. You can send me an email to the email address that you see on your screen right there, akis.panayi@hamiltonhousepublishers.com. I'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions, or if there's anything that you would like to discuss, anything that you want to share with me, I'll be more than happy to hear from you. Thank you very much. Hi, Terry. I can't hear you, Terry. I don't know if the others can hear you, but I can't.
See, I was being myself, and being myself, I was a little bit lazy, and I forgot to hit unmute.
There you
So
go.
thank you very much, Akis. Yes, thank you, everybody. And as you can see, the question and answer mode has now been enabled. So now would be the time for all of you to ask whatever questions you have for Akis or for myself. And we would be happy to answer any questions you might have, or even any comments about today's presentation. Thank you. Oh, you guys are all so very kind. I see lots of people typing, so let's see what questions you guys have for us. And let me also multitask and look at Facebook, see if we have any questions. Lots of thank yous, thumbs ups. So, folks, any questions? No, well, actually, I have a question for Akis, actually. Akis, you have another presentation with us in 2 days. Is that correct?
That's a very good question. Yes, I do, as a matter of fact. We have another presentation coming up on Thursday the 29th of October, same time, same place.
And what will you be talking to us about?
The presentation will be on preparing our students for writing in the Cambridge Young Learners tests. The Cambridge Young Learners tests. We're going to go over some tips, some useful ideas that you can practically use in your classroom, the physical classroom, and the online classroom as well. We're going to talk about how the tasks in the Young Learners tests, the writing tasks, are assessed, and what is expected from students to do, and how we can help them achieve their goal. So looking forward to see you all on Thursday, same time, same place.
Okay, great. Well, we look forward to it as well. And I think most of you now, once we end the session, you'll be getting a follow-up email. I think there'll be a link to register for this webinar on Thursday. But for those of you watching out there in Facebook land and anywhere else online, you can join our webinar on Thursday by checking out our Facebook feed. We have registration links, and you can sign up. We would love for you to attend here on clickmeeting.com. Otherwise, you can just watch the stream on Facebook. And oh, awesome! Now we're getting the questions.
We have some questions, Terry.
Yes, yeah. I do that. Okay. Well,
and
how can we register for the webinar? Well, what you can do, as I was just saying, is you can go to our Hamilton House Publishers Facebook. So it just Google. Just search in Facebook for Hamilton House Publishers if you're not already following us, which you should be. So follow us on Facebook, and you can find the links for the next webinar, again, which will be on Thursday. And oh, we have some more questions. See, we're warming you guys up now. All right, let's throw this next question up for you, Akis.
Why is it important to make students have their cameras activated? Thank you very much for the question, Mitha. That was one of the comments in the survey from a student of ours that said that if the cameras were on, then the students would be more concentrated. And I said that even though that is true, you cannot really make the students have their cameras activated. There are different countries and different schools have different regulations regarding cameras. So I would suggest check with your school first. What is the regulation and what is their policy about having the cameras on, and then check what are the regulations in your country regarding that. Okay, but it is true that if students have their cameras on, it's easier for them to concentrate and be there. What websites are particularly loved by your students? Well, they find write and improve really useful, and Kahoot. They love Kahoot. Thank you very much for your question, Terry. I think there was a question in the chat box on whether we can share the page with the links one more time. Someone asked
the educational online tool.
The education on online tools. Yes, that one.
I'm on it, guys. If you guys just so check it out. If you guys go to the chat box, you'll see I have put the links.
Ah, there you go. Thank you very much, Terry.
And I've also put the link to the direct registration link for Thursday's webinar. So I am on it. And so to answer Roxana's question, you said, how can we get this presentation? Like Aki said, so this video is immediately going to be live on our Facebook. Basically, the recording is going to be on our Facebook now. We also upload the videos of these presentations to our YouTube channel, so you can watch the presentation again if you missed any part of the presentation.
Roxana, I think Terry has just answered your question. How can we get this presentation? I think you have just answered that, Terry. Thank you.
And then one more question here.
And how can I encourage students to have cameras activated? That's a good question. Okay. As we said before, you can tell students that their active participation to the online lesson will be assessed. And one way for students to be active in the lesson is to have their cameras on, and you can tell them, I strongly encourage you to have your cameras activated because this will help you be active in the lesson. I will ask you questions. I would like you to be there, and your participation will be part of your final assessment. Let them know that, and maybe this way they will turn their cameras on by themselves, and they will be encouraged, hopefully, to do that. How would you get engaged? How would you get engaged students that are not connected daily or have got weak or bad internet connection? Well, about the bad internet connection, I don't think there is anything that we can do as teachers. However, we can encourage them, and we can let them know that they can email us anything that they missed because of the bad internet connections. Give them some alternatives that they can email you any questions, or they can send you a question on Messenger if you're using Messenger or any other digital or online tool. How would you engage them? Well, I would suggest praise them, make them know that they are important and that them being there means something for you and for the lesson as a whole. I hope that answers the question.
Great.
Eduardo,
And
thank you very much.
I see a question here from Panche saying, will there be a certificate for attendees? There will be certificates for attendees on the platform here at quickmeeting.com. You will be receiving it pretty much immediately after the webinar ends. So that answers that question.
We have a comment. To me, it is very important to see my students. I really can't speak to dots. Yes, I think I am right there with you on that one. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, there are no more questions I see on either Facebook or here on Click Meeting. So once again, Akis, thank you very much for taking your time to give us this wonderful presentation, and we look forward to Thursday's presentation.
Thank you, Terry,
All
for
right.
hosting this, and hopefully we'll see everyone on the next webinar.
Okay. All right. Everybody, have a good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world, and we look forward to seeing you in our next webinar. Thank you again, everybody. Goodbye.